Welcome back, another episode. The series mostly stays true, or at least close to the real history of the U.S. Army Air Forces, as seen in the final episode of Masters of the Air, which explores the fates of important figures of the 100th Bomb Group, including Gail Buck Clevin, John Bucky Egan, Harry Crosby, and Robert Rosenthal. As they march across Germany at the conclusion of Masters of the Air, Buck and Bucky devise an escape plan, and Crosby keeps Thorpe Abbott's operating while Rosenthal gets a closer look at the reality of the war. The 9th episode of Masters of the Air was noticeably longer than the previous ones, so there was ample opportunity for the show to explore the last few months of the conflict from the perspective of its protagonists. The episode had numerous pivotal moments that were not only significant for the characters they portrayed but also deeply moving for viewers. The 100's food drop over Europe, Rosenthal's discovery of the concentration camp, and the POW's victory over the Germans at Stalag Luft VI, for instance, were all crucial components of what ultimately proved to be a very moving and fulfilling conclusion. Even though Masters of the Air did a good job of concluding the lives of its protagonists, certain elements were unavoidably left out. These are, for the most part, little details about the characters in Masters of the Air, but they are crucial to comprehending both their pre-World War II identities and their post-war identities. Principal Harry Crosby. A few aspects of Harry Crosby's life are left out of Masters of the Air, despite the fact that the show covers his education and career after World War II. For instance, it is disclosed that Crosby and his spouse, Jean, served as co-presidents of the PTAS for their kids. However, it is also accurate to state that the couple was involved in their neighborhood and led multiple initiatives opposing the Vietnam War. Alexander Jefferson, Lieutenant Colonel. While Alexander Jefferson's employment as a Detroit public school teacher is mentioned at the end of Masters of the Air, this aspect of his life was actually very important. Jefferson taught science in primary schools before rising to the position of assistant principal in 1969. Robert Rossi, Lieutenant Colonel Rosenthal. While the last few minutes of Masters of the Air effectively encapsulate Robert Rosenthal's post-war accomplishments, the program fell short in addressing one facet of the 100th Airman's life. Although Rosenthal was shot down and rescued by the Soviet Army in February 1945, this was not his first encounter with German land. Bucky the Colonel Clevin. There are actually even more amazing things that Buck Clevin accomplished in his post-war life, in addition to the numerous amazing information Masters of the Air presents. To start with, Clevin earned a doctorate in interplanetary physics from Georgetown University. Later in life, he took over as president of the struggling Florida College, Weber College, and radically transformed it. Prior to that, Clevin was notable for a brief stint at the Pentagon. Bucky Egan, the Colonel John. Ultimately, Bucky Egan's remarkable post-World War II career was well documented in Masters of the Air, including his participation in the Korean War and his passionate marriage to Josephine. While it is true that Buck Clevin managed to escape from a POW camp during World War II, the actual events and timeframe differ significantly. First and foremost, Buck's escape is depicted as having taken place in April 1945 from the Nuremberg POW camp, while in reality, it took place during the first evacuation and march of Stalag Luft III in January 1945. Operation Chowhound, the missions of the 100th Bomb Group bringing food to the Dutch. The scene in Masters of the Air Episode 9 where Buck Clevin, Robert Rosenthal, Harry Crosby, and Ken Lemons fly above the Netherlands and drop food for the Dutch people below is a surprising but amazing moment. It is immensely touching for viewers, and both the guys and the Dutch people are ecstatic about the humanitarian intervention. For more, subscribe.